Okay. Charlie Sabenga, Story Power. Story Power, Charlie Sabenga.
In 1985, Steve Jobs, adopted as a baby, college dropout, started Apple Computer, and told himself a story. I will build a computer so beautiful and so useful, everyone will buy one. At the time, it seemed impossible. People were still pounding out letters on manual typewriters and listening to scratchy vinyl records. If you remember those products, you were like me, old. Sometimes we forget it all started with an impossible story. Your story defines you. Your story determines your destiny. Your story will give you the power to do the impossible. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, and everyone who wants to do the impossible, your story has power. Jeff, a 51-year-old man, joined our Toastmasters Club to overcome his fear of public speaking. After the meeting, I asked Jeff, tell me one of the most exciting things that has happened in your life. Well, when I was a child, I told myself a story that someday I would fly. Last year I climbed up to the top of Mount Said and I looked over an 850-foot cliff and I jumped. Of course I was wearing a wingsuit and a parachute and I flew. Wow, Jeff, that's crazy. And you're trying to tell me you're afraid of public speaking? Why? When I don't have that voice down. When I was in third grade, maybe I'll do that voice. When I was in third grade, I gave a talk in front of the class. The teacher stopped me and said, Jeff, sit down, you're being stupid. I felt so humiliated, I vowed I would never, ever speak in public again. That story was so powerful, Jeff never spoke for 37 years. Have you ever used the words, I will never, I can't, I must, in your story? Our club gave Jeff a lot of encouragement to change his story. And he did. He went from a 30-second icebreaker speech to a 7-minute inspirational speech in front of 500 people. Wow. Your story has power. It can silence your voice, or it can give you wings to fly. Let me take you back to when I was a child. I milked cows. I grew up on a dairy farm. Milked cows, stacked hay, and did all the other endless chores on a farm. When I was 17 years old, I told my dad, I'm going to build a stacker better than the one I'm operating. See, I didn't do that. Right. Charlie, it would be impossible for you to build a stacker better than those big companies. Did you know the Wright brothers' father preached at them? If God had wanted man to fly, he would have created him with wings. we all know how that story turned out. So I set upon my journey to build a stacker my dad said was impossible to build. 10 years later, you would have heard my wife preach at me. Charles, get real. The stacking machine is going to bankrupt us. You need your head examined. So I did. I had my head examined. The second time I walked into that psychiatrist's office, he said, Mr. Sebigan, Mr. Sebigan, that's right, Mr. Sebigan, the test revealed you are a dominant, paranoid, depressed, schizophrenic. Say what? You can't know anything about me from a bunch of stupid tests. You're full of it. And I stormed out of his office. But his words haunted me. Was there really something wrong with me? If you know me, don't answer that question. Today, I thank God for that diagnosis, even though I never went back, because it forced me to question all of my stories. Like Jeff, I had stories that were taking away my freedom to succeed. With a lot of help, and I mean a lot of help from my friends, I changed those stories. And within 12 years, I had acquired 4 patents on a haystacking machine and was operating a multi-million-dollar company, selling those stackers all over the world. My story gave me the power to do the impossible. Believe in the power of your story. Steve Jobs did, Jeff did, and I did. Your story defines you. Your story determines your destiny. Your story will give you the power to do the impossible. Your story has power. Contest chair.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I gotta get the voices down a little better. I don't have Jeff's voice down yet. It's not in my head.
Good. Great.
So am I
You're
responding?
moving around much better.
Yeah, I didn't have it in my head. Thank you for getting that straight in my head. That helped.
It's clarity. That's all we're searching for is clarity. There's one thing that when you were over here, what do you, 17, you were 17, you're somewhere over here in this area, then what?
When I'm 17 years old, I tell my dad, and I tell my dad
Yes.
this way. I tell my dad, and I didn't do that. And then he says,
His voice is fantastic.
well, I can go with that, Jackson.
And then it's, once you use the chair, it's too bad we can't have somebody run out and get it the hell out of the way, because when you step forward, you're stepping forward on the right side of the chair, which is fine, but then you need to drop
I
back.
think I need to have this chair more visible. It needs to be over here a little bit.
When it's facing, because it reminds you, he's speaking, you're speaking as Jeff.
This way I'm speaking,
Yeah,
Jeff.
yeah.
This way I'm speaking as me. This is Jeff, this is Dad, this is me talking to Dad. Just gotta get that in my head. This is me talking to Jeff. This is Jeff talking to me. This is Dad talking to me. Okay.
You're always this way.
I'm always this way when I'm talking to these people.
Yeah, and that's beautiful, that's beautiful. And it needs to be smooth.
Oh yeah, I'm a little rough here and there.
And this is where, some rehearsal this week.
Yeah.
But I love when you come up here and you say, my story had the power to do the impossible.
Gave me the power to do things.
Gave me the power to do the impossible. What is it, adjust your
This
That
is,
indicates impossible.
this is,
That's it.
that's it. No, figures out like this.
Okay. How many times do you use the word impossible in this speech?
Quite a few.
Every time you do it.
Do that. Because it's like something round, something square going through a round hole.
It adds emphasis, even if they don't know what it is. Yeah,
Okay?
let's do it again.
Give me just a break here.
Oh,